Today on Monday, September 29th, 2025, we are once again going to be discussing the tropics, which has been pretty active over the past few days. So to start off here, we have Tropical Storm Imelda, which is a 986 millibar low pressure and a 65 mile per hour tropical storm at this time as of the latest 5 p.m. update. So it is situated just north of the Bahamas right now and is continuing to bring impacts today and pretty much for the rest of the day on Monday. As we zoom out here, you can see clouds associated with this storm really all the way up into the Carolinas, the mid-Atlantic, and even into the Northeast, which isn't directly a part of the storm, but it is most definitely influencing these clouds way up here into the Northeast. To the east here, we have Category 4 hurricane or major hurricane Humberto at this time, which is once again a Category 4 140 mile per hour storm, and it is a 942 millibar low pressure as of the latest 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time update. And Humberto is going to continue to weaken over the next few days, and it is expected to become a Category 3 hurricane by tomorrow around noon, and then continue to weaken a little bit further until it reaches a post-tropical cyclone. And the National Hurricane Center predicts this will be a post-tropical cyclone by sometime maybe Thursday. And then also with Imelda, it is expected to make that turn to the northeast and head directly towards Bermuda at this time. And so we do have a hurricane watch for Bermuda because of not only Imelda, but because of Humberto as well. But this hurricane watch was just issued, I believe, with the latest 5 p.m. update. But other than that, that is pretty much the latest we have on those two areas, and that is Imelda's cone of uncertainty, and then there is Humberto's cone of uncertainty. So now we're going to be looking at the global models, and we're kind of going to be talking about both of these systems at the same time because they're basically going to go in the same direction, and there's not really any point in kind of separating them because they're just so close together. So if we start off here, we have obviously Hurricane Humberto to the right on the eastern side, that 962 millibar area there on the GFS, and then Imelda on the left side and north of the Bahamas. So if we go forward on the 12Z GFS, we obviously still have more rain getting pushed into the Carolinas and even into the eastern sections of the Florida Peninsula, Georgia as well, even all the way up into Virginia, rain showing up on the GFS. And then as you can see here is Humberto continuing on kind of northward and then makes that turn finally on Tuesday into Wednesday to the northeast, and the GFS has it a little bit weaker than it should be at this point right now, not in the future, but right now as of the latest run, it's a little bit weaker than it actually is showing up on the GFS. And so if we continue this forward into Wednesday, you see Humberto makes that turn and avoids getting too close to Bermuda, but as that heads on out, that kind of allows for Imelda to travel near or almost in the direct path of Humberto, or really just a little bit south of Humberto, and this causes it to pretty much make a direct impact to Bermuda as we get into late Wednesday into Thursday as well. We go ahead and look at some of the other models as well because I want to include the other ones mainly because the European and GFS were really the last two global models that I saw that kind of caught onto the scenario of Imelda turning to the northeast before it traveled any further towards the southeast U.S. And the other models showed a good bit of time before the European and GFS did, so I want to include them as well because they did pretty well with Imelda in the first place. So if we back this up a little bit, the European as well shows a similar setup. Has Humberto just north of Bermuda by Wednesday morning. There is Imelda coming in and is a little bit further south of Bermuda than the GFS, but still is pretty much a strong tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane by this point, which the National Hurricane Center does think that this will be a hurricane by the time it gets right near Bermuda. So if we go forward with that, Imelda finally gets farther eastward and weakens a little bit more as we get into Friday. And then we'll look at the European AI model, which did pretty well in my opinion with showing this turn to the northeast. And so there is Humberto. Imelda gets right here, pretty much makes a almost direct path towards Bermuda, goes over Bermuda as we get to Wednesday and a Thursday, and then heads on out. We look at the Canadian model as well. We'll back this up a little more. Humberto, Imelda go into Wednesday night, Thursday morning, same thing there. Pretty much almost a direct hit, essentially. We even look at the icon model as well. It's actually still loading in here, but if we go forward with this, the 18Z run might get almost close enough where we can see it, not quite. But there is Humberto, the latest 18Z icon, pretty much has it on the same path as the other models headed towards Bermuda, unfortunately. We can really take this still as a positive because it did not impact the southeast as much as it was originally going to. So that's definitely a positive here. But still, if you do live in Bermuda, I would certainly continue to monitor this storm as the latest models continue to show a almost direct impact pretty much into Bermuda at this time. Before we end the video with some of the wind impacts we could expect for the Bahamas for the remaining part of the day and then into Bermuda later on, we're going to quickly talk about the setup here and why we're seeing these storms do what they are going to do. So if we go forward here into midday today on Monday, you can see obviously Imelda to the west and Humberto to the east. And we also have a sort of subtle trough here into the early cutoff low, I should say, into the southeastern U.S. And so that wants to try to pull at this storm Imelda a little bit there, but Humberto creates sort of a passageway, so to speak, and allows this storm to move to the east. And as you can see there, there's a little bit of a ridge built over the Midwest U.S. And so that also helps to kind of block the storm as well. We go forward here, going to Wednesday and into Thursday. This storm pretty much tries to follow the same exact path as Humberto, but is still a little bit farther south and unfortunately impacts Bermuda later on in the week. But that's kind of the setup we're dealing with, and I thought I would just explain that real quick so y'all could kind of better understand it. Finally, taking a look at wind impacts on the European weather model. So if we take a look at the Bahamas later on over the next few hours, still areas could see 30, 40 mile per hour constant winds, even gust up to 50 and 60 miles per hour as we go later on into the night. But as we go further into Tuesday morning, those winds should start to decrease a little bit. Maybe by tomorrow, winds only in about the 20 to 30 mile per hour range. And then by tomorrow evening, those winds should die down significantly as we get into Wednesday as well. If we back this up and then take a look at the southeast as well, most of these areas just along the coast could see winds into the maybe 20, even 30 mile per hour range at the max. Maybe even areas into the Outer Banks could see the winds into the maybe 20 or 30 mile per hour range, but only for a pretty short period of time as we get into maybe Tuesday evening, Wednesday, and then get further as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Those should start to die down just a little bit, but still it could be pretty breezy in the Outer Banks and along the coast in general, all the way even down into the coast or off the coast of Georgia and off the coast of Florida into Wednesday. We go back a little bit and take a look at Bermuda as well. So winds will start to pick up in Bermuda as we go further into day and tonight because of Humberto making a close pass by. If we go a little bit further into the area of Bermuda, and as we go into Tuesday morning tomorrow and then Tuesday afternoon and evening, winds could be well into the 30 and 40 mile per hour range with gusts up to maybe 50 and even 60 miles per hour. Then as we get further into Wednesday, these winds will stay consistent for the most part. And then as we go into Wednesday night, late Wednesday night, even into early Thursday morning, winds could easily be in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range with gusts all the way up to even 70 probably 80 miles per hour as we get to Thursday morning. And then by Thursday afternoon, hopefully most of those winds should start to die down, and the risk of pretty strong winds should be dwindling by this point, maybe as we get into late Thursday and early Friday. And hopefully by the weekend, those winds should have died down significantly in Bermuda. So that'll be it for today's update. I appreciate all of y'all watching, and I hope y'all have a great week.